game. When is the last time you did something for the first time?
Um, Maybe about 2 weeks ago. Okay,
What'd
can
you
I
do?
ask a clarifying question?
Yes.
What it like are there parameters for like it has to be something brand new, or is it just something new to me, or what?
Something new to you.
All right,
Like if you
something.
went skydiving, that is new to you, even though people have been skydiving
Yeah,
for years.
yeah, okay. Um, I always ask these questions that just really throw me off. So I guess I'll go with I don't know. I did morning yoga for like a full morning yoga routine for the first time today.
Ooh.
So that's something. There was a lot of grumbling on my part. I was furious, slightly furious, because I was so
You are not
frustrated with how
normal.
many down dogs they had you do in that one, with the shoulders on the ground and the butt
Oh,
up in
the
the air.
head rush.
Yeah, I my shoulders are really stiff in the morning, and
Hmm.
so there was a lot of me just being like, "Oh, come on again, really? Come on!" And I had to keep reminding myself, like, "No, trust the process, Jason. This is supposed to calm you. Calm down, calm, calm." So yeah, I did that this morning. So that felt good after all my frustrations.
Is it something that you would do again?
I think so. Um, I think I would want to get up a little earlier first to maybe get some tea into my body first and just
Mm.
loosen my body up and just throw my arms around and stuff and just loosen up first.
Instead of
Um,
just doing it right when you wake up.
yeah. Plus, I would want to make sure I find some routines that are more tailored for the morning because I think this was just like a slow flow type thing where it was slower than what I would normally do, so it wasn't as much sweating and stuff, but it was still more. It required more endurance than my morning fibromyalgic body can
Ah,
can maintain for long periods of time.
gosh.
But I made it through 30 minutes. I did it.
Look at you.
Look at you. You know I'm gonna bounce back, bounce back, bounce back. What's yours?
Um, so I was actually thinking about this right before we started recording, and I think the last thing that I can remember doing for the first time is hosting a game night, in-person game night.
Mhm.
Um, I typically do it virtually because we have to do it at work all the time,
Right.
and we did it a lot during the pandemic. But hosting an in-person one, so much better.
Isn't
So much better. I've been to a few, obviously, with you all,
it?
but hosting, I like hosting. I made rice with some salmon. They brought their own kind of like everybody brought their own snacks. Like someone brought cookies, someone brought popcorn, someone brought juice. Um, and just having my sisters come over to have a game night, eat and all that kind of stuff. Like it was just really cool to me.
Yeah.
So it's definitely something I would want to do again.
You're
Um, I've
gonna do it
always
again.
like I've always like dreamed about having a bunch of people over and doing game night, whether it's
Mhm.
couples, whether it's friends, whether it's people from church, whatever the case. But actually doing it, getting to do it, I was just like, okay. So I just texted my sisters, impromptu game night tomorrow. They're like, I'm in. What time? So
Say
it was
less.
just like it was just really cool. I would want to do it again.
I love that for you.
Yeah.
You have been talking about doing game nights, like having people over and just having like the bustle in your places that you've been at
Yeah.
for basically every single place that you've had since you like have started gallivanting around the United States.
Gallivanting.
Gallivanting.
It's true. And even those game nights that where I got the clubhouse,
Mhm.
it was my other friends who brought games who hosted. I just made the
Right.
food and had the
Yeah.
seats. And so
Yeah. But
it
to
was
have them
really
in your space and you
yeah.
sort of being the host, being able to host like that and host your sisters and stuff like that. I know that's big for you.
Yeah.
So I'm happy for you.
That was
Because
really
usually you go to Jocelyn's.
I do, and she has some really great drinks, great games. It's always a lot of laughs. It's always a lot of laughs.
I love it.
Thank you everyone for tuning in to another episode of Take a Space Podcast. I'm your host Leah, joined by my Koi
Car star.
joined by my co-star Jason.
Actually, I would like to be known as a koi star.
A koi star.
I want to be coy. I want to be coy.
I want koi.
So coy. So coy.
I couldn't decide if I was thinking koi fish or a koi person.
Oh, I don't think of myself as very fishy, so I am going with person, COY.
Are you not a Pisces though?
I am through and through the water.
I mean, so let me tell you about this. I was talking with this person, and she shall remain anonymous. But
quick disclaimer for the record, she told me maybe 2 lines of whatever she said that she's gonna talk about today. So this is one of the first times that I'm going into this blind. So I'm gonna find stuff out.
You always go into these
right along
blind. Why are you acting so brand new?
This is a different level. We didn't even have a debriefing before this, really.
So I'm talking to her, and she said, let me vent. Now we know when it comes to people are just going to be out here peopling because that's who they are. Some people are good. Some people are complex. Some people are straight up trash, just like Jackie from Love is Blind, but we're not going to get into Love is Blind right now. Some people have trash attitudes. Some people have really good attitudes but really trash behavior. So some people, there's complexity to this human experience.
Yeah.
But one of the things where it hurts the most is when you're seeking help from someone, whether it's mental health, whether it's medical health, whether it's wellness, fitness, or even getting a job. Like, we know there's people who are trash, but that shouldn't stop you from pursuing your goals. And the reason why I want to talk about this experience is because if it's your first time seeking therapy, it can seem overwhelming. But like we say on the show, finding a good therapist is just like dating. It's you got to find who works with you.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna start by telling you her grievances up front before we get deeper into it. Okay. So essentially she's had this therapist for 10 years, which, let me ask you, how many years do you typically stay with a therapist, or months, or what is your time frame typically with a therapist?
I personally, I'm not opposed to people I'm not somebody saying that, oh, you should change therapists every blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
The longest that I had one, so my previous one, I've only had 2 therapists. So my previous one that I dumped, he was my therapist for 6 years, 5 years. 5 years. Didn't really see that much growth on my part. Didn't really progress much.
After 5 years?
Yeah, we'll get
Was
into
it
that.
like during the tail end or throughout the whole process?
That I didn't feel like anything was really happening.
Yeah.
Basically throughout the entire process.
Why did you keep going?
Because it was cheap. And remember, I don't
so
like
you
change.
Just need a venting space.
Yeah, that's what would happen. It would turn into me venting, but him not taking what I vented about and working with it to push me to be more. Long story short, I ended up dumping that therapist because of how he consoled me after my aunt died. I think I told you about that before.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like people die.
Yeah.
So my current therapist I've been seeing since 2019, so about 4 years, but I see there's been so much growth, like from the very beginning.
Yeah.
And I'll get into details later on with just how I know that it's the right fit for me. But yeah, 5 years for the longest, but yeah, not 10 years. Could I imagine being seeing that therapist for 10 years
That is
and
a
listening
relationship.
and listening to him vent about his life, the way that he was venting about his life and stuff.
See, so okay, so wait, let's quick aside.
Yeah.
When you're going to therapy, sometimes
Mhm.
therapists will open up with, who are you, where do you work, what do you do,
Mhm.
how long have you been in the area, what is your family life like, what is your home life like,
Mhm.
what is your networking structure, like your friends and associates, things like that. And then they'll ask you that question of, why are you here,
Mhm.
and what are your goals of this session. When
Yeah.
I first had a therapist, I didn't know how to answer that question. Like, what are you here for? I am frustrated in my life and I don't know what to do.
Mhm.
And some therapists are really great at asking those probing questions of just like, so tell me about your day. What are you saying that's frustrating about your entire life that you're
Mhm.
here? Other therapists like yours would be like, oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
What else is
And
going on?
yeah, the first guy, I started seeing him when I was unemployed. Like I had been unemployed for a year. I was just starting a master's program, and then there was some family stuff that was going on
Mhm.
that really drummed up a lot of emotions and stuff from that I had just not dealt with even from like childhood and stuff. And so it
Yeah.
was a perfect time where there was just a clear, explicit issue for me to deal with. And
Right,
so
right,
we
right.
sort of worked through that at first, and then the family situation got sort of normalized and stuff. Everything got back to normal.
Mhm.
But then that's when it started to sort of change into the dynamic started to shift where I felt more of like a caretaker and lapsing into that role. With my second therapist,
Oh.
he was like, from the outset, he noticed that I was a sensitive person. He noticed just based on the family history, because just to add context, I've always been extremely open about how like stuff that happened in my childhood and me understanding that even if I didn't know how to navigate out of it, I knew that certain things were sitting with me in ways that I didn't like that I wanted to fix.
Right.
Um, so I was very open about that at the first session for my second therapist, and we started working on that stuff right away. So I've always been very open about like I know what I want to fix. It's just a matter of can you help me fix it? Maybe fix is an
Yeah.
important word.
Well, so I don't really say fix, because I don't
Address.
think that therapists are necessarily fixers.
Yeah.
I think that they expose a lot, but what I have learned to do is ask the therapist what kind. The great thing is you can look them up to see what their specialties are. So if
Hmm.
you think you're dealing with anxiety or some behavioral disorder or mood disorder
Hmm.
or whatever the case may be, or if you need a counselor, like you can look up their information on your
Right.
health site or for Psychology Today to find out who they typically deal with, because
Right.
I wouldn't want to go to a person who deals with geriatric patients
Right.
because that's not their specialty.
And that was
I'm also
part of
not going to
the
go with somebody who deals with teens either,
right. That was
because
part of the reason why the first therapist didn't work out because yeah, it was cheap, but under the things that he had listed, like gambling was his specialty. So
oh, okay,
yeah, but then also there was like depression, anxiety, that kind of thing. So I just went with that one because he had a sliding scale and he was nice, but it no, see, I'm doing the people pleaser thing where I'm trying to make excuses for
don't try to
but
don't
yeah.
try to protect his image.
uh, yeah. Yeah, I look at it more of not fixing, it's processing. Just okay, how can I've reacted to whatever I've just vented about. Like I
Hmm.
clearly my body had a reaction to it, my mind had a reaction to it, my mouth had a reaction to it at some point because I probably said something that I could have said more tactfully in the moment.
I
Um
mean, those moments happen.
yeah,
They definitely happen.
but I look at it more of like at this point with my journey of organizing my mind and stuff, it's
Hmm.
more of how can I process the world and how can I approach the world as a extremely sensitive and stay in tune with it,
Right.
but also make sure that I'm protecting myself in the process and prioritizing myself in the process. And so that's what most of my sessions have turned into at this point, because I've done all this stuff to not be depressed, not be anxious all the time and stuff. And now it's just a matter of being more, what's the word, more picky, I guess, more picky about how I use my sensitivity.
Yeah.
And how, like, putting probes out, consciously putting probes out into the world instead of just letting stuff hit me.
Yeah, that's really good. When I just got a new therapist, and for the last 2 therapists that I've had, and my therapists are mostly situational. I kind of hop because I move around a lot. I can't really keep the same therapist because they're not licensed in the same state all the time.
Right.
And I had a Black therapist for like half a day. And when he realized, he was like, "Oh, wait, you moved to Washington?" I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "I can't do a session with you until you're back in the state of North Carolina." And I was like, "But you're Black and a man, and I haven't heard your perspective yet."
Please just finish this session.
But what I do is I like to find out what their specialties are, and then my thing, I have learned how to advise a therapist, so it kind of like sets the tone. I don't need you to fix me. I don't need you to come in to tell me what to do, but I would like to gain more tools and resources that could help me identify how to work through a depressive episode, how to work through an anxiety attack, how to work through a difficult situation where maybe I want to be angry, I want to be passionate, I want to pop off on someone because this thing has made my blood boil. And maybe that's not the right thing to do because that's not the image I want to project. So I let them know, like, yes, I want to gain some more tools and resources. Like, I really need a space to vent because this thing is happening right now in life in real time. But I eventually want to get to the point where I can work through things like this after I've talked about it, because we can talk about it, but I want to have a better understanding. Give me a different perspective. I've had white therapists. I had the one Black one that doesn't even count because we didn't even do a session. He just did the intake. Then I had
the one that got away.
Yeah. But now I have a Black one, and I have to just keep reminding myself to trust the process, because I'm just like, I don't want to do a hello letter. I don't want to write to myself. Like, yes, I've fallen off of journaling. Thank you for reminding me of that. I talk to myself quite a bit.
Is your current one, you go in person for your sessions, right? You're able to?
No, it's virtual. Yeah, it's virtual. The therapist that I had, I think that was most impactful. She was so sweet. And she was in Washington, and she was a cognitive behavioral therapist. So I told her, I said, I'm having negative thoughts and I need somebody to interrupt the cycle before it turns into a downward spiral. And when I tell you, she asks the right questions at the right time, and it will always trigger an emotional response. Every time she asks me a question, why would you ask me that right now? Like, hold on. Or I would get really in my feelings and we recorded a few sessions after, and that's why we had to change our meeting times, because we would have therapy sessions and then a recording session, and I'm just too raw. I'm just too raw right now. I'm just too, no, I can't, no, and so I really loved her. I really like this new therapist too. Like, she's really, she lets it be silent without it being awkward.
Yeah.
So if I need to process something, she'll just let us sit in silence for a minute.
There's beauty in silence.
Oh, absolutely. But yeah, I would just say that when you do go to therapy, when you do start seeking a therapist, do a brief consultation on the phone, ask them questions about what they offer, figure out, and even if you don't know what you need, they should be able to ask you questions to guide you and let you know. And sometimes they're a part of networks that they can, like, actually, so and so takes your insurance and she actually more aligns better with what you need. Some
Mhm.
people like the same people from the same cultural background, but
Mhm.
staying with a therapist for 10 years, I feel like I would have experienced growth and need to move on. And if my therapist is not growing with me,
Yeah.
you gotta move on.
That's one of
Um,
the things that I like about my current therapist is that he is open with me about the journey that he's on
mhm.
and the things that he's trying out and suggesting for me. Um, telling me about his history because he's like exactly 10 years older than me. So he has
Oh
like,
wow.
yeah, it's just a perfect match where it's like he's a sensitive person. He's navigated a lot of the issues that I've dealt with. And so he's just, this is what I tried. This is what didn't work for me. Yeah, this is what I tried. So it's more of just like a, more of an exchange instead of just
Mm,
me dumping and then him just telling me, oh, you did this right, or oh, you did this, or try this, like kind of thing.
yeah.
It's kind of fits even like my teaching style. I think that's why it's such a good fit for me because it's more of an exchange than just what Frere would call the dumping method, I guess.
Yeah.
The
I don't need
banking
to
method,
just
that's what
come
it's called.
and I don't need to just come and like make deposits all the time. Like
Yeah,
I like having the feedback to kind of like talk through,
yeah.
because in that moment I'm feeling a lot of things,
Hmm.
and sometimes I need to just sort through to get to the point of grounding
Hmm.
where I can be like, okay, this is what's real. These are the facts.
Hmm.
But then that also gets me in trouble because I'm more analytical
Hmm.
and my feelings do not make sense. And so getting realizing, yes, you are more analytical, but as I'm delving into my feelings, I have realized that, yeah, like even though I present such a hard exterior, I am a very sensitive, well, not, I won't say very sensitive. I am a sensitive person that has masked
Yeah,
as the
you've had to
strong
mask it.
woman. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just as a protective layer.
Hmm.
But I realized like, no, you're safe. You can be that. If somebody hurts your feelings, it's okay to let them know like, hey, I don't like what you did.
Hmm.
I'm not at the point of crying in front of people because they hurt my feelings,
Hmm.
but I'm learning that it's okay to have these feelings. It's
Yeah.
okay to be hurt that somebody hurts your feelings. Like
Hmm.
you don't have to just like rub dirt in it and keep it pushing. Like
Yeah.
no.
It's like, oh, you're
Like
just
no.
being sensitive. Yeah, I am being sensitive,
Yeah,
and
let
I'm
me
letting you
let me
know that I'm
feel my
being sensitive.
feelings. Let me feel
And
my feelings, because it works both ways. What I noticed that in previous relationships,
mhm,
um and people can say it's the Aquarius in me, whatever the case may be, but
mhm,
I become emotionally detached very quickly.
mhm,
If I don't like what someone's doing, I will just be like, nope, I'm not giving any more emotional energy to this thing. I may be physically present, but
mhm,
there's nothing here.
mhm.
And so I will detach to protect myself,
Yeah.
but it's okay to feel real feelings for other people.
Mhm.
And there people are gonna people. That's how they do. People
People
all
be
the time.
peopling. Yeah.
And so it's not, what I've learned is um it's not whether or not I can trust this person. It's whether or not I can trust myself to heal after this person has intentionally or unintentionally hurt me.
Mhm,
If this person intentionally or unintentionally crosses a boundary.
mhm.
If this person, does something so egregious, am I going to be okay after the fact? And I realized like,
Right.
yeah, like I'm a very resilient person. I can do this.
Yeah, I've
Um
survived worse.
right, like I'm good. And it's not just about like cutting people off to cut people off, but
Yeah.
I find that the growth is in addressing the situation, if it calls for it. Like, hey, I don't really care for the way that you act or what you said, and I would appreciate it if you don't talk like that in my presence.
Mhm,
And if that person's character is doesn't align with mine, their path doesn't align with mine, it's okay. We can go our separate ways without me feeling resentment toward, man, how come you couldn't get your stuff together? We could have been out here doing this thing and doing that thing. And I
Good.
want to go to happy hour. I want to make money. I want to do this. It's like, no, I don't have to stay attached to this person because I'm hanging my hat on their being there for me.
I do want to
You
go
know
to
what I
happy
mean?
hour. Yeah, I would love to go to happy hour.
I would love to be at happy hour.
I
But yeah,
want
but
I want you to tell me about this friend. Not to.
yeah, we were circling back. We're circling
Yeah.
back. Yeah. But
What's the deal?
so here's the thing. So she's been with a therapist for 10 years,
Okay.
right? And the therapist, as of the last, like, I'll say 6 to 8 months, has been very flaky. This person would this person would last minute say, oh, I can't make my session today because my cow is like ill, or I have to be at a vet appointment even though the vet is coming to me to help me take care of my farm, or I completely forgot about it, like I'm going through a lot with my family, and turns that into a venting session for the therapist. And I'm like, so why are you still going to her? How many appointments have you missed? She was like, oh, like the last 6 appointments, whatever the case may be.
Nah, 2. One is
Ma'am.
like, okay, yeah, I understand. 2 is, oh, are you doing something to take care of this? And 3 is like, okay, that's the cutoff.
And I'm be
Like,
honest with y'all, the numbers are not correct. I'm going off of memory. So
okay.
this is the situation. But no, it was something like 6. It was something wild, right? And
Anything past 3 is insane.
That's what I'm saying. I'm just like, I think my thing is, what the icing on the cake to me was when the friend called to say, hey, I won't be able to make my appointment because I don't, I won't be able to make my appointment today. She just didn't want to do it. She's at the end of her rope. She's done with this therapist. But at first she didn't want to leave because she's been there for so long.
Yeah.
And I was like, can we stop with the time sunk fallacy? Just because you've been doing this for so long does not mean that this is right. Like, this person is not helping you.
Yeah.
Like, you're going through, like, she was going through some stuff at work, and the therapist, according to her, because she's leaving me a voice note, she says, the therapist goes, oh my gosh, like, yes, you go through stuff at work, at least you have a job. And I was like, oh wow, your therapist said this to you? She would not be my therapist anymore, and she would be reported. Like, we're not doing this. We're not. No. Any therapist that minimizes your feelings, minimizes your being, no.
Wow.
No. Okay. And she kept saying, like, it's weird, right? It's weird, right? And I was like, why are you still entertaining
Girl, this is past weird. This is like a
So we get to the point where she's like at the end of her rope, and she's like, no, I have an appointment coming up. And I was like, don't even waste your time. So the therapist calls her and was like, I know I missed so many other appointments, but we're still on for, like Tuesday or whatever. And she's like, actually, and it was the next day, she was like, actually, I'm going to need to cancel. She was like, oh, it's an $80 fee if you cancel, but it's a $0 fee if you reschedule. I said, girl, I would reschedule than cancel, because no, absolutely not. Like, why is she paying you $80 whenever she cancels last minute?
Right.
And she was like, I know, right? I be hyping people up for no reason. Like, I'm just like,
it's perspective. You're giving her perspective.
I'm like, all these times she's canceled on you because of her dog needing shots in the farm that she has in her backyard. Who? No,
man,
no. So it comes to the point of her actually ending the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
She tells the therapist, hey, this is not working out, I want to find someone else. The therapist goes into this very toxic, it is not funny. It's not funny, but it's funny, if that makes sense. This therapist goes into this very toxic mode. please don't leave. Is it something that I did? How can I fix it? I know that I have been flaky for the last, like, so you do recognize your behavior. I've been flaky for the last XYZ times. But it's just a lot going on in my life right now, and I really can't afford to lose any clients.
She just needs
so I really
help
need to go. So I really need to go. Okay.
She doesn't even really want to help her. She just wants the cash. She doesn't even want the facade of helping her. She just wants the cash.
So then she's like, I'll give you a discount if you stay. I'll comp, 1 or 2 sessions. Please tell me what I need to do. And then this is the part that gets me, because now she turns into a fortune teller. She says, I have been thinking about what you have been going through. I remember this part. I have been thinking about what you have been going through, and I have some really good thoughts, resources, and or tools to help you manage it. And I wanted to talk about it in our next session.
How would she know what she's going through?
Hold on.
You ain't seen me in 3 months.
Wait a minute. So she realizes her behavior is trash. She realizes that her behavior is causing a negative, is having a negative impact on your relationship. She realizes that she's the problem. And obviously she has been somewhat listening to you, because now this is why it's hard to stay with people for a long time. When I say this is a bad breakup, when I say this is a bad breakup, this lady says, well, the issues, and it's a very specific triggering issue. I understand this very specific issue that you've had with your family is probably triggering something else. So let's talk about that. And I was like, ho. You can't bring up my triggers and act like you can magically, like you have the potion to resolve it if I just schedule another session with you. And I'm like coaching her the whole time. I'm like, please please do not buy into it. If she had all this information before, she's withholding it.
Leave her.
If she had the information before, she's withholding it. She's a terrible person. One, or she has no information. She's just trying to bait you to stay. And she's using your past in the hopes of keeping you in because she has so much information on you. And she was just like, yeah, I think I need to go. I said, don't answer any more of her texts. And this lady been blowing her up. When I say it turned into such a toxic therapy client relationship where the therapist is more worried about keeping clients on her books than she is about helping people. I'm like, if she was a good therapist, you don't have to worry about clients, self-pay or otherwise.
It's okay to lie sometimes. As someone who is trying to feign compassion for this patient that clearly is at the end of a rope, who probably has not been prioritized in a lot of situations and stuff in her life, and it feels like she's not being prioritized now, and you tell them, please, I can't afford for you to leave me.
Oh my,
lie to me.
I'm like, how you really had the gall to say that?
You could really even say, I've seen you grow so much and I feel like we can go even further and take you to the next level. I'm sorry. Let's see how we can meet an impasse or come to some kind of agreement, something that works with you and make sure that you feel like you're a priority. I should write PR statements for people.
She didn't care. She didn't. All
she saw was the light bill.
Yeah, there was no compassion. And I'm like, so you knew your behavior was trash and you were just hoping that because I have spent so much time with you that I would be the tried and true and stay. And she was just like, I just feel, I really don't want you to go. And then when she stopped responding, when a friend of mine stopped responding, the therapist was like, well, I can help you find another therapist. No, don't. I was like, please do. She's going to do everything she can to get you to respond. Well, let's just have an exit. Let's just have an exit appointment. No. I was like, this is This is so weird. Like, that's why I'm like, people just people.
People just be people, and as they people, and I just lie to me. I think I've said that before. I think we've talked about that before. Probably not in detail, but yeah, lying is bad. Okay, yeah. But if you're trying to get something, maybe this is the writer in me speaking, the writing teacher. If you're trying to persuade somebody to stay, don't throw the least human thing. How am I supposed to care about your bills if you keep canceling the sessions and not
You have
getting
no
the money
compassion
from
for
me? And you're not
But
even
you
coming
want
to the
me-
sessions to get the money from me. Your story's not even matching up, cowgirl. Like, come on.
So my thing is this. So this person is, this therapist is so concerned about having her bills paid and keeping clients on, and all. She was like, I'm just going through so much. A healthy therapist, a healthy person, would say, hey, I do want to keep this thing going. I do want to, pour into my business, whatever the case may be. But I am not in a place to do that right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I need the money, but maybe me taking a step back is going to help me to come back stronger.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're in the service business and you're not able to serve your clientele, your community, your patrons, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
then you're doing a disservice to everyone by being bad at your job.
Especially if you're leaning on your patron and basically the dynamic has completely shifted to where you're venting to your patient. That's like me going to a massage therapist and the massage therapist asking me to rub this little kink out of their hand.
Yeah,
like just my shoulder right here. Just give me right there.
Yeah, I'm trying to get I'm trying to get your knots out, but in order to get your knots out, I need you to go ahead and help.
Right. You're going for expertise, not even service. You're going for certain expertise to certain people.
Right.
You go there for expertise and guidance, and it's being completely flipped to where I'm paying you to hear your problems.
Yeah.
Like,
and I'm just like, if you voice a concern, your therapist should be compassionate above all else.
Yeah.
They should be compassionate. You shouldn't come in complaining about, even if it is a complaint, even if it does sound like you're whining, even if it does sound like it's a small thing,
mm-hmm.
It's a very real thing to you.
Yeah.
Like even if a kid is crying because, they're crying because there's no more muffins in the bag because they ate all the muffins.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very real thing for them. They're like, oh my gosh, like there's no more muffins, and they may cry it out, and you may have to sit there and talk with them about it, whatever the case may be. But it can be very dangerous for people who are at a breaking point.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't receive that kind of compassion.
Yeah.
And I think that when you're in a position like that, you should be compassionate in your job. And if you can't show up as, I'm compassionate today, just like me, if I show up and I'm not focused today, I'm no good to anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm messing up reports left and right because I'm not focused. And that's the core of my job.
Right. Where's the money?
Right. What do you mean you put it in this account? That's not even the right customer.
I'm sorry, I was distracted. I have so much going on. My cow is sick, and
right, like who's?
We're not minimizing trust. We're not minimizing the therapist what she has going on. It's the fact that it's impacting somebody who is going to this therapist for a specific service.
Right.
The therapist, if anything, maybe after 2 or 3 canceled appointments, maybe they should have been upfront with the person and just been like, hey, I have a lot going on. I think we need to hold off on sessions for now. Maybe I can book you or can help you find somebody else to work with for a few weeks while I'm managing my own stuff. But to just sort of drag them on and lead the patient on for this long is just, come on, lie to me. Just don't see me as the Comcast bill.
Right.
Like, right?
Oh, when
or
they pay for the
Xfinity,
session, I'll be
sorry.
able to
Not
take care
best.
of this, and I want to get this new couch, and I want to do. Not saying that, or it could be medicine for any of the farm animals, like
Right.
whatever the case. Like it's not right to treat someone as simply a patron. You should treat your
Yeah.
service as something that you are giving to its utmost degree, right?
Mhm.
You should be offering this, like it may not be platinum star every time. Maybe you give
Yeah.
gold star service, right? But if you're trailing into the bronze consistently, like
It's time to step back.
silver is
Do
okay
some
every once in a
soul
while,
searching.
but you need to be doing, especially in that field where we are now.
It's too sensitive of a field to be
Right.
that flippant about how you are caring for people, really. Like I
Right.
say it sometimes to students, like maybe I shouldn't say, like, I don't get paid enough, like that's out of my pay grade, certain things, but I'm not in an industry where it could be life or death, where it's people unpacking stuff from their childhood and stuff,
Mhm.
and where I could possibly be reinforcing patterns that maybe we spent 10 years trying to unpack, and you're
Mhm.
just sort of stepping it back.
Yeah, but that also, like, when I was listening to her tell, because most of this stuff is through text, and it's
Mhm.
just like, I'm just like shocked emoji and shocked gift. Like, I'm just like, what? Okay,
She didn't.
clearly you have boundaries
Yeah.
that are being crossed, and they may not be erected as boundaries, but you realize there are things she's doing that you don't like.
Mhm.
It's time to enforce those boundaries, man. Like,
Mhm.
and for those who haven't heard like previous episodes, when I say boundaries, these are not to give to tell people how to act.
They're not rules
right?
for other people. It's
They're how you will react in a situation. If somebody is, for instance, talking about your mom, and you're like, no, that's a no-go.
the standards that you're setting for yourself, not rules that you're
Exactly.
setting for everyone else.
Like, I
And
won't
she
be
may
in
have
a room
had
with-
just a shack. Maybe she has some milk crates set up as her fence, but it's there. She can see the perimeter there, and she sees, like, okay, this person is crossing over this line that I've drawn in the sand,
Mhm.
and she's just sort of letting just lie to me. That's what I
No, because I think in order to lie, there has to be a level of care. Like, when people
True.
like, it's sad to say it like that, but that's what it is. I feel like, especially in friendships and romantic relationships, people lie because they care and they don't want to see you hurt.
Yeah, there's
On
a
the
sense of
flip
compassion there.
side, there is. On the flip side, sometimes people lie. Sometimes people lie because they know that they're the ones who are going to have to deal with the fallout of your hurt. So I feel like there's a balance to it.
Yeah.
But a lot of times when people do lie to you, when people do try to withhold truth, or, truth by lie by omission, whatever the case, they're like, you don't really need to know that right now.
Yeah.
You'll know it on a more need to know basis. But yeah, I feel like when people, like, I was going to tell myself I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to. I feel like when people have to figure out a way to approach a situation, it's good to be compassionate or empathetic, to say, dang, I have done something to this person, or this person may feel a certain way about our interaction, and it's not my fault. But it's good as a human person to say that, like, that it's important to understand that it takes a lot to be vulnerable. So when someone tells you how they feel, that's a vulnerability, right? Because that can be used against them.
Tell me, Leah, is people in the chat with us now? Is people here with us now?
No.
Did you just lie to yourself? Is people
No.
in this podcast episode?
No, No, because okay, so in leadership, sometimes there's things that you have to withhold, and there's sometimes
yeah.
you have to like. Sometimes you show your hand. Sometimes you only show part of your hand.
Mhm.
Sometimes you have to say, "I hear you. I understand where you're coming from. The work still needs to get done.
Right.
You may not like washing dishes, but on this shift at this Starbucks, you are dishwasher right now.
That's
You
your
need
task.
gloves? I got you. You need help reorganizing the sanitizer? I got you.
Mhm.
But right now, in this shift, you're washing dishes. We're breaking down everything else because the last time we asked you to mop the floor, you missed half the floor. You didn't sweep. The floor wasn't clean. It was very sticky in the morning. So guess what? You're not on the mop anymore.
Oh, I hate sticky floors.
So you're back here washing dishes because you do dishes well. And so
Play to
it's
your
more of a
strengths.
so I think that it's more of a point. It's not really a lie. It's stretching the truth of just like, hey, so right now we don't have the capacity to wait for you to mop the floor for an hour and 30 minutes. Somebody else can get it done in 30 minutes and you knock out dishes very quickly. I know you don't like them. That's why you do them very quickly. But once you do them, you're good. I have lotion on deck for you. I have Aquaphor if you need it to make sure your hands aren't dry. I got gloves for you. Let me know what you need. If you need another apron to help you get through, got you. I understand. But you are not the floor mopper. You are the dishwasher.
Yeah. It's just like with group work, you play to people's strengths.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. See, I don't consider, we're not going to get off topic here, but I don't consider those lies. I think that's more so just emphasizing people's strengths. So like, okay, if that person is a stronger dishwasher than they are if they're a crappy floor mopper, I'm just not going to mention the floor mopping. I'm just going to say, you know what? No one does dishes like you. I think
I don't play on people's egos like that. Like
I do.
I can't because I know that
sometimes
I've taken you off of something purposely because you've been screwing up. So I'm not gonna play it like, oh my gosh, you're the gold star dishwasher and that's why we don't have you up front wiping down counters. Like that's what it's gonna be. So I'll tell you that, hey, I want you to understand why you're doing this. And even if you don't care, I'm letting you know the whole point is to get out in 45 minutes after closing. If I put you on the floors, we're going to be here till midnight.
You're having flashbacks right now, aren't you?
We're going to be here till midnight. So guess what? You're going to be washing dishes.
There's a specific person that you worked with at Starbucks that is going to hear this.
He had not trays. What do they call it? The gold teeth things?
Grills.
He said grills. I don't know why I call
it. Back to your generation.
Oh my gosh.
He had
grills. He had a grill in, and he said that he keeps his grill in because his teeth are so sensitive. So he had gold grills in the front, and he was just like, he would start washing dishes real slow, and I'm like, no. You can play this game, and I will sit here in this chair and watch you wash dishes because we're done cleaning, and you're the only one taking a long time on purpose. So I forgot your name. I know it starts with a D, but y'all remember Richard?
It was too specific. I knew it. It was too specific.
I'm trying to think of the street name of the Starbucks I worked at in California. It was like that weird area.
What city was it in?
It was like that weird place where Pinole and Richmond met. It wasn't Point Richmond, but it wasn't.
Oh,
Richmond
like
Parkway.
Over by that. Was it over near?
If you drive down San Pablo, you'll pass it.
Now we gotta look it up later. We gotta look it up. I'm trying to think.
But lying to people, you just have to be crafty about how you do it. Play to their strengths, obviously. Yeah. But I feel like
as a therapist,
ultimately it has to come to a place of compassion. It has to come from a place of compassion. And if you're not compassionately thinking about my well-being, which is like the end goal in all of this, keep it.
You're going to therapy. I mean, usually you have something going on that requires compassion.
Yeah.
And so if you're a therapist and you're listening to this, don't tell your patients that they are a bill, because it's
Listen,
it may be true. It may be true.
it may be true, but some things don't need to be said.
Be tactful. Use tact.
But I will say, as we're wrapping up this episode, that I have gotten some great tools, great tricks, tips, resources from therapists and other people in the mental wellness field. I don't know the exact terms for everything. Like, I just learned about the empty chair technique. I just learned what it's called. I've been using it for years. But she just called it by its name during one of my other sessions.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Did you get out everything you needed to get out?" I was like, "Yeah." She was like, "Oh, okay, that's great. Like, you want to talk about it?" No, not really. Okay, we can move on. So, learning different techniques has just been, it helps of just like checking with, like, is this a fact or is this a feeling? Or why, or pulling the thread to find out what the core memory of this thing is and
what it's attached to.
Like, why is this a trigger? Learning how to work through triggers, that's a huge one.
Counseling the children, as we call it. I say counseling the children, as we call it.
Parenting your inner child. Yes. Parenting yourself. That is one I'm still, like, I feel like all of my people have, like, integrated very well, but I still have, like, I just met 32 a couple days ago, but I still have like 8 around, and so it's really cool to just
She's 36 years old, by the way.
Just putting that out there. I mean, you are too, and apparently you're feeling it just as much as me. Yeah. So it's just like learning different techniques, how to move through life, to not be a victim, right? To be in control of your actions and managing your emotions. That's all a me thing. That's all what I've been working on. And so
just navigating the world, really, and understanding the world and your place in it, and how to exist in it without losing yourself, and how to still be in touch with it, with people and things in the world, without losing sight of who you are and what you want. That's me.
It's such a great feeling to have someone who is going to keep you in line. Oh my gosh, I just remember the older, we would call her the auntie in our community. When she read me left, right, up, and down, I was, ma'am.
Yeah. Ma'am. I remember that. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Oh, like, wait, hold on. Ma'am, you don't, okay.
Edges, good. You got your edges, right?
I mean, you're not wrong, but like,
slow down. It's the first session.
I'm new. Like, come on. But it's been such, even with the bad, because one of the therapists that I knew, it was over. I knew it was over when he said, "You're too smart to be depressed." And I was just like, duh.
Like, crap, now I gotta go through all this again with somebody else.
He was just like, "You're too intelligent to be depressed, like, and to be anxious. You know this stuff isn't real." And I was like, yes, my logic brain says that. My emotional brain doesn't know that. Like, how do I work through and so I feel like sometimes there's too much of a cultural barrier sometimes to connect with people. He was an older white man. Yeah. He was Jewish. Yeah. And so it was just like, he was just like, you're too smart. And I was like, what are you even here for, dude? What are you even here for?
I paid all this money into this. Now I got to do it all over again with somebody else.
Yeah. I mean, and so I feel like, when you have a therapist and you find one that is good, you find one that's going to hold you accountable, You find one that is going to keep you on track. You find one that is going to keep your goals in mind, and also challenge you, because I think that's, for me, having someone to challenge me, because I'm not challenged as often as I would like to be, but having someone to challenge me, to challenge my thoughts, to challenge my, like, are you really doing everything you need to do? Are you really doing this to the best of your ability? And I'm like, no. Okay, so what plans can we make to get there? And I think that having someone in that corner is like,
It's crucial.
Yeah.
I think everybody needs to be in therapy, especially people who don't think that they need therapy.
Because you're the reason why we're in therapy.
Yes. Like, if you think that you don't need therapy, I can guarantee you have something there that needs to be unpacked that would elevate you to the next level, that would really put you in a space where you're not taking your misery out on other people. But I digress. Let me move on.
But therapy, I mean, yes, people out here peopling all the time. So yes, there's going to be people that you don't mesh well with in therapy, but when you go to health and wellness, whether you're in a therapist's office, a counselor's office, psychiatric's office, ancestral healing grounds, or there's also another one that combines like spiritual healing with yoga, and there's a lot of different spaces that are opening up.
I actually want to try that.
I don't know if I'm ready for that, because that's a full body emotional, like, you've been put through the ringer experience. If you're open
personally, I think I am ready for that, because I've done so much work with just getting everything together, just anxiety wise, that now I'm in the space with like the pain management class and stuff. Everything is connecting the two and making sure that I'm in touch with my body and different parts of my body to feel where certain pains are and understand how those are connected to certain emotions. So I'm open to it. Not yet.
Yeah,
I'll tell you about it if I ever do it. I'll tell you.
I've seen clips of people doing it. Like, they come in, they're in the ropes, and when men do it, it is emotional just watching them through the screen.
Yeah.
Because to see a man, express forgiveness, a man accept, like, that he doesn't have to be angry anymore, just like outwardly parenting his child, the kid in him, like, it is. I always cry when Black men cry anyway. Like, that's just like,
because Black men aren't allowed the space to be vulnerable,
right?
In a different way than how Black women aren't allowed to be vulnerable in sense,
right?
But it's like the same book, different chapters, but it's just to have that space for that. If you find, send me some of those clips whenever, if you don't mind.
Okay, yeah,
I'd love to see them.
It is a lot. I mean, you're not going to like a yurt, like way out in the middle of nowhere. You're going to a facility, but the healing agents are around you, talking you through it. Like, you get into this meditative state so that you can access different parts of your trauma, and they do it through different parts of your body. And I mean, it is. When I say it's a full body experience, I'm like, there are just some things that I'm just like, I feel like I would be very light, obviously, but I feel like also it looks like, I know it's not, but it looks like giving birth.
Like, it's taxing.
It's
the emotional equivalent of emotional equivalent of giving birth.
Like, you're giving birth to this new person, and it's a very emotional, spiritual, mental experience that you're combining everything into one to release those things. And I'm not saying that once you do it, you're healed of everything, but there's a lot of trauma that you get to unlock and work through in those sessions. And yes, people go back for multiple sessions, but you get to untether yourself to the traumas of the past.
into it.
Yeah, I'm just like, who? I mean, I don't have anything to lose if I do it, but
Still,
I think
it's something that you want to build towards if you ever do it.
yeah. I mean, I have like you, I have done a lot of work to try to get through all this stuff, but I feel like I don't know what I would need to be ready for that kind of thing, but I feel like
You're not ready for that kind of thing.
like I feel like I would have to I would need to be in solitude before and after
Mhm.
to try to like get right in all like it would whew,
Yeah. Yeah.
whew.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if I find more, hey Google, send me some more stuff. But I feel like because you know they're listening. So while I'm talking about this stuff, like put that in my algorithm so I can see those things. Oh, it's really talking to me now. Hey Google, stop.
Google's like, you rang.
It's really talking about what love is.
Now they're gonna be sending you recommendations for yurts and stuff. We heard you say the word yurt.
Right. Like so yurts were mentioned.
recommendations.
Are you on a spiritual journey? Yeah. So I feel like that as you're going through your life's journey and you want to explore mental health wellness.
I'll allow it.
Yeah, if you want to explore any of those things, like, feel free to reach out. Like, yes, it's only two of us and we've had our background experiences. Like I've been throughout the country going to different therapists, things like that. I think that I've been doing pretty well.
I think so.
Or reach out to a therapist online. There's a lot online who are giving different tips and helping you to establish boundaries and, relationships, things like that. But I am really glad that this friend has untethered herself from the trauma of her therapist. And you can too. Just because you've been doing something for a long time
doesn't mean you gotta keep doing it.
You do not. You can absolutely keep. Oh, I've been doing this for 7 years. You know what's worse than doing it for 7 years? Doing it for 8 years.
Doing this for 7 years, hating it for 6. Let's do the math.
Right. Let's not go down that path. So, do what makes you feel happy. Do what makes you feel alive. As long as it's not hurting anybody else.
Don't hurt anybody. Don't be a jerk. Come on.
Jason, where can people find you?
People can find me on the streets. No, people can find me
Oh wow.
At Burlington Coat Factory or Mervin's during back to school season.
Not Mervin's. Oh, KK, she's still gonna be listed as like co-host of the show.
Right.
KK, we were in a conversation and she said somebody was asking, "Oh, do you know where I can go get some shoes?" And she said Mervin's. Now
she said it seriously too, huh?
She said Mervin's, and
Mervin's
was like,
has been closed since the Bush administration.
How do you know about Mervin's? Weren't you too young?
You remember
and she
that?
was just like, yeah, let's go to Mervin's. I'm like,
you never shopped at Mervin's. You're too young for that.
It's like if you said Sears, or I would even allow Kmart, but you went all the way back to Mervin's.
Do you remember Miller's Outpost and Anchor Blue? Same store, changed the name. They were in Hilltop Mall. I mean, they were in malls in general. They sold jeans, a lot of jeans.
Anchor Blue?
Yeah.
I don't recall.
Yeah, I think it was Miller's Outpost first, and then they changed it to Anchor Blue. But anyway, you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, the clock one, JJ_Newberry.
With the finger guns. And please follow us at Take a Space Podcast. That's Take a Space POD on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, all the things. Take a Space Pod, Take a Space POD on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all the things. And let us know like what your experience has been with therapy. I love to hear them. Send us an email, send us a DM. Let us know what your thoughts are. Have you been in therapy? Are you considering therapy? What don't you like about therapy?
What's holding you
back?
Are
you being held accountable in therapy?
What's holding you hostage? Like what emotions are holding you hostage? Yeah. Don't.
I really,
Yeah.
I don't want to answer that question because I immediately thought of going to the yurt and how I don't want to do it yet. But thank you all so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Until then, be good to yourself and be good to those who are good to you. Even if they're not good to you, still be good to other people. Karma is a real thing. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye. Give yourself grace.